Good morning, YouTube. Today, I thought it'd be fun to cover my top 5 favorite dividend payers. I'll tell you what makes them my favorite and why I'll continue to heavily invest in them in the future. So before I cover my top 5 favorite dividend payers, we've got to discuss the elephant in the room. And I'm talking about how much the market has gained these last couple of days. And currently, I am up 1% on the day, putting me over $8,023. And the past week, I'm up $553, 7.42%. And the past month, I'm up 13.5%, over $956. And the past 3 months, I'm over $1,000. Oh, I've never made $1,000 by doing nothing. The past year, $700. And all time, the same thing, 732. So I'm up 10% all time. Absolutely phenomenal. I've never made money like this before, and it is so fun. And I hope these videos inspire you guys to give it a try. So with that being said, let's get into my 5 favorite dividend pairs. Number 5 on my list comes from the energy sector. And I know that sector has been hit hard during the pandemic, but there are still some good things that are happening. The economy is opening back up and demand for oil is beginning to rise, as are gas prices. It was good while it lasted, right? I was paying prices I hadn't seen since I was a teenager, first learning how to drive. Speaking of teenager, I was giving this company money on a weekly basis back then and continue to give them my hard-earned dollars to this day for what's been well over 20 years. If you live here in the US, you probably have too, which is why CVX comes in at number 5. Chevron's 10-year compounded annual dividend growth rate is 6% and has a healthy 5.3% dividend yield, leaving plenty of room for growth. As a dividend aristocrat, it's been steadily increasing its payout for a whopping 33 years. Crazy, almost as old as me. The price to earnings ratio is 49.06. Its 52-week high is $127 and 52-week low is $51.60. Moving on to number 4. Number 4 on my list is from the financial sector. Currently, I bank with them, and their tenacity during the pandemic really showed. Their branches never closed, although they did adjust their hours, but they stuck it out. They've been hit hard, as have most all businesses in the financial sector, but I bought in at a great price. JP Morgan is resilient and is the favorite bank that I own in my portfolio. Its 10-year compounded annual dividend growth rate is a staggering 20%. With a healthy yield of 3.25%, it has plenty of room to grow. It's not a dividend aristocrat, but has been growing steadily for a solid 9 years. Its price to earning ratio is 12.56. Its 52-week high is 141.10, with a 52-week low at 76.91. It's an awesome bank to own. Highly recommend that if you decide to invest into it, do a little research and check it out. Moving on, number 3. Coming in third, this company is from the healthcare sector. With over 100 brands, I guarantee you have multiple items from this company in your medicine cabinet, in your shower, and even your kitchen. I personally have used their No More Tears shampoo since I was a baby, and my kids are using it to this day. Its 10-year compounded annual dividend growth rate is 6.8%, with a healthy dividend yield of 2.75%. It's a little lower, so it has plenty of room to grow. And speaking of growth, it has been steadily growing its dividend for 57 years. Yes, you heard me, 57 years. For that, I'm willing to pay the company that handles their financials so soundly that my grandparents would have benefited from that growth. The PE ratio the PE ratio is 22.97 and its 52-week high is $157, while its 52-week low is $109. Moving on to number 2. It was a toss-up between 2 and 1. Ultimately, I decided to go with this one for number 2. It almost needs no introduction. What if I said this company has enough cash to pay off all its debt? Chances are you're using their product to watch this video right now as well. You probably know the company I'm speaking of. I use their product to produce this video as well. I bought my first Apple product back in 2004 because the MP3 player I had wouldn't work and never seemed to reliably upload music from my desktop. A few years later, after dealing with a Dell that never seemed to work properly, I decided to try an iMac and I never looked back. I'm also currently subscribed to almost half a dozen of their services, so it's not just about their hardware. The stock is a little different than the others on this list, as it acts as both a growth stock and an amazing dividend stock. Since it began paying a dividend in 2012, it doesn't have a 10-year compounded growth rate, but its 5-year growth rate is a solid 10.5%. Its dividend yield is currently 0.99%, but when I purchased it, I locked in the yield at 1.15%. It's the lowest yield on my list, but its ceiling is virtually limitless. There is never a guarantee when it comes to the market, but I'm predicting a lock on it becoming a dividend aristocrat and later king in the future. As it sits now, 7 years is its dividend growth history. Its price to earnings ratio is 25.99 with a 52-week high of 331.75. It's currently right about that price. And the 52-week low is 182.15. $182. Now let's move on to the king of my list, number 1. Last but definitely not least, this company takes the number 1 spot, but it's not actually a company. It's a real estate investment trust, or REIT for short. You've been in one of its buildings if you've shopped for groceries, home improvement products, convenience store purchases, fitness, medical prescriptions, and have needed to ship something. I'm talking about Realty. Not only have you most likely used its facilities, but if you're watching this video, you are most likely invested in some of its tenants. It pays a monthly dividend, which ultimately is what broke the tie between O and Apple. And looking at its dividend history, it shows a 10-year compounded growth rate at 4.75% and a relatively low REIT level dividend yield of 4.5%. REITs are required to pay out 90% of their profit to gain favorable tax incentives from the government. And with its relatively low payout yield, it shows how profitable and sustainable O really is. The PE ratio is 42.99 and holding a 52-week high at $84.92 and a 52-week low at $38. This O is my absolute favorite dividend payer right now. I finally cracked that $1 a month amount dividend from O. It's more like maybe $1.20. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed putting this video together for you guys. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up, explode that like button, comment, subscribe. Subscriptions are always free, and follow along on my investment journey. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.